This show is brought to you by Bussco, your entrepreneurial hub on the web.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Survival Instincts, the Entrepreneurial show. I'm your host, Amy Kafaj. And if you ever feel that you're about to go nuts while starting or growing your own small business, let me tell you that you have come to the right place. In this space, we talk about everything business while we try to decipher why in the world we ended up in the mess of business ownership. And most importantly, how to survive it. Today's phrase is, you gotta connect the dots. And on that note, let's get started. Welcome one more time, and thank you for tuning in to another crazy and wild episode. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome to the shit show. I would highly recommend you to watch this show in a progressive order because a lot of things will just not make sense. But, in this episode, we will do a little recap of what we have talked so far. So maybe you joined at the right time. If you have been watching us for a while, thank you for hanging on. We know the last 3 episodes didn't make a lot of sense. In a way. And it's just because before this project got started, we were between if we should just go straight to business and do like a podcast with a business show and talk and stuff, or if we should just do a realistic, creative representation of how most businesses get started. We have been talking nonsense for 3 episodes already, so I think that you know which one won. Also, everyone seemed to agree that a captain should sink with its boats if something fails, and I guess that explains why I'm here. Now, why to create another business show? What's the relevance of it? We could give you a long explanation of how the world economy is changing and all that stuff, and how, is it relevant right now? But we actually have a blog, a long-ass blog, coming, is it this week? By the end of this week. Anyway, this is a little example of what's going on. It says 73% of US workers plan to freelance in 2023 by Fiverr. Okay, now I feel like that crazy person who has been announcing recession since 2019 and no one ever heard what I said. Recession is coming. But that's not the point. So yeah. As we can see here in the article, it says, I left my glasses, so sorry. Okay, when we look at the article and what it means, it says that 33% of people from the survey confess to be fearful of being laid off, and 53% is unsure about this year's income. Inflation, society, there's a lot of variables here. The sample is just of 2,000 workers, so obviously it doesn't represent the whole population, but if we look at it at a bigger scale, it pretty much says that 73% of workers need a second income. Why are you thinking to freelance? Now, you might have been daydreaming about opening your own thing, or maybe you have been freelancing already for a while. Maybe you're just struggling to grow your existing business, or simply business curious. Whatever the reason might be, that's why you ended up here. Our commitment to you is to simply share the advice and info that we would have given our younger self before our businesses got started. And that's what we have been trying to do with the previous 3 episodes. Have been trying to do. More or less. So, episode one was just an audio with a vision and an idea. And that's how most businesses get started. Everything seems dark and there is no clarity on what you're going to do. You just feel something pull you in that direction, your reason why, like whatever that might be. And I'm not saying that your purpose or your reason why is to have a business, like that's not it at all. But just to know and identify, like what's your purpose, like why you want to do things and what do you want to do with your life. That's all. And sometimes, yes, it can be a little bit more complicated because it's like, where do I fit in this world? That can be a little bit stressful, but it's more about like knowing yourself and your abilities and knowing how you can maximize the skills that you have to do something good, turning them into something that fulfills you and that can help others. And it's funny because, sometimes it's like, oh, yes, finding our place in the world, like where we fit in our purpose, like finding ourselves. We forget, or we tend to forget that to do that, we need to be lost first. And we don't like to admit that we're lost, but that's the beauty of it as well, in a sense. Like, it means that somehow you tried all the different roads and none of them took you where you wanted to go. And actually, that reminds me to a poem of Frost, Robert Frost, I think. The road not taken. And I'm not going to recite the poem because that's not what we do here. But if you don't know it, you definitely need to take a minute and read that masterpiece. Like just Google it and read it. The poem is about making choices through life. Okay. And it ends by saying, two roads diverge in a wood, and I took the less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. And that's the thing with human nature and free will and following our dreams and our passions. And yeah, that has made all the difference. We don't have the manual. We don't have a manual that says, like, hey, you have to go through here if you want to accomplish this. Like, yes, they say, you have to go to school, you have to get grades so you can go to college. And in college, you get educated so you can get a career in something, working for a company. And then you start working and you save, and then you get married, and then you start having a family and get the house and like all that story. Like, yes, that's the regular path, but sometimes that doesn't work for people. Like, we are all different, and I'm not saying that we're different in the sense of like someone is worth more than other people. Like, that's not the thing. I believe that we all have the same rights and we deserve the same respect and benefits. We're all human here, so let's just be nice to each other. But the point here is that we are not the same in the sense that we don't make the same choices, we don't have the same perspectives, we don't have the same lives. We don't have the same realities, if you want to call it that way. But that's the thing, like, that's what makes you unique. That's what makes you you, and that's what you bring to the table. It's not just like who you bring to the table, like, oh, I'm the goat and I'm here and I'm just gonna make it. Because yes, you're probably the goat and you're going to make it. But what do you actually bring to the table other than I'm here, I'm the goat, and I'm going to make it? That's why during the first episode, we saw that the three most common reasons why people wanted to start their own business are that they want to be their own boss, that they want to pursue their own ideas, the financial rewards. Can someone please tell them? Because maybe that's why we later in the episode saw that most of the businesses fail. Maybe because they had those reasons in mind at the beginning. If those are the reasons why people decide to start their own business, it explains a lot. Let me tell you, there's no amount of freedom or no amount of good ideas or even money that can make you go through what business ownership is if you don't have a passion for it. Because you will crack, you will fail. And that's the thing, like, you need to have a strong reason why you do things, because that's what, when life gets you in a corner crying and just like, mommy, I want to go home, like, that's the reason that you're going to have to wipe your tears, clean your face, stand up and say, I'm going to get this. That's why you need to have a strong reason why. It's not because having a business will get you the money, because yes, it will get you the money if you have a good business idea, but you have to be willing to put the work to get there. And sometimes that's the part that people want to skip. Like, they want the overnight success, but they don't realize that it comes with many nights of no sleep. So, episode 1 started with why. Everything is dark. We have no idea what's going on. We only have a vision with a real reason to at least try. You really do some weird stuff while trying to figure out what you want. The people around you won't really support you because they're busy doing their own stuff, and you cannot really blame them. Episode 2, the beginning of our series, setting the record straight. Here we dig into some expectations or realizations that I have had during the hashtag entrepreneurial lifestyle. More than coming up with a business plan and finding financing to fund your own business, it's more about the entrepreneur and what they can do under the wild circumstances that life throws at them, like COVID. Yeah, something like COVID. So again, you need to have a strong reason to start your own business and why you do things, because it's not an easy road. It's not impossible, but it's not easy. And if you don't have a passion, if you don't really have a reason, a strong reason why you will do things, you will quit. That's all. That's another thing. Like, what we were trying to show as well is that you will make many mistakes, and you will make mistakes that you don't even know that you're making. And it's just, improving upon yourself and what you were before. Like, you're competing with yourself. Like, if we see it in this episode or like in this show, our goal is to be better than the previous episode. And the next episode has to be better than this episode. It's a process. We cannot expect from the first episode to have a incredible production and have thousands and thousands of followers. And, that's not the thing. Like, don't lie to yourself and expect those things, because if you expect those things when you crash, it's going to hurt a lot more. And the other thing is that, you're starting something new. There is no manual. There is no magic formula to overnight success. Like, I wish there was a formula for overnight success. Sometimes it's just more about life giving you some resources and you trying to do your best. Control of your own with only a few resources to make things happen. Good luck. Remember, you're being judged. And that takes us to episode number 3. And what was an entrepreneur again? almost everyone has their own definition of what it means to be an entrepreneur. And you see, that's kind of the confusion with the rules and standards and procedures, communication, like perspective. And it's one of the things that we were trying to highlight in the last episode, because if there is no clear communication, everything is a show. On the last episode, we also saw how easy it really is to come up with innovations. Just mix two different concepts or multiple concepts to create something new. And at the same time, we saw pretty much the process to get a business started or to create a successful business. If we look at the definition again, we can say that pretty much a business summarizes in finding a problem that needs a solution, solve that problem in an innovative way, create a product, system, service, or whatever you want to call it, that solve that need and meet that need in the market for other people. That's simple. Like the definitions, the rules, the process, communications, perspectives. How do you get that done? Taking it to practice. The first business that I started when I moved here to Miami was an online pet store. The problem I was trying to solve? I missed my dog and I was 19 years old and broke as a bad joke. That was the problem. The innovative solution? Let's open an Amazon store so I can sell all the cute things that I find and that I cannot get for my dog. After a few months, that side project was not a side project anymore. It became 3 Amazon stores that later on brought most of my income. But it was not about the Amazon store, but it was about finding an innovative solution to a problem. And no, it was not the problem of me missing my dog, although yes. But the real reason is that, okay, let's get technical here. So the problem I found was that actually pet stores, like physical pet stores, they wouldn't hold that much inventory for pet strollers because they take a lot of space and they didn't have as many sales, so they wouldn't keep them in the storage. Now, the people that want to get like the strollers for their pets, they are willing to get the stroller that they want for their pet. And they care about personalization, they care about colors, they care about other stuff like designs, and that they couldn't find on the physical stores. That was the solution. It wasn't nothing like extraordinary. It was just, it had pretty good margins, but it was not about the money. And it was about the money at that time. Like, I was broke, I was in a new city, I didn't have money here, and I like nice stuff. So I was like just finding different ways to make money, and that's how that got started. But you see, at the end of the day, I started that business or that project because I missed my dog. I was not planning to come up with a business or like doing that on the long run. I just found myself with some free time and a way to make a quick buck. I would be bluntly lying to you if I told you that I knew what I was doing or that it said like, oh, I'm going to start like this business to sell stuff online and I will grow this, and like that was not the thing. Like, I just missed my dog and I was lucky enough to find a product that was not being satisfied in the way that the market wanted it to be satisfied, and that's how it took off. But at the end of the day, if we look at the reasons of why it got started, yeah, I had the sentimental motivation and I had the financial reward. My dog, the sentimental, the rewards, because I was broke. But if we look at what ended up happening, when the store was already making 10K, I was like, I'm 19, that's fine with me. And then my dog came with me, so I was no longer missing him, and I didn't find the need to continue window shopping things for him when he was already with me. Like, I got him the stuff that I wanted to get him, and that's all. So I guess that we can call that a failed business because after a year it was gone, but it served the purpose that it needed to serve at that point in time. And I got distracted with other projects that at the end of the day took me to where I am today. Another thing also worth mentioning is about communication and perspective. Like, founders are so up in their heads sometimes, in the sense of they have their vision that they can see, but sometimes we are not the best people at communicating what we see. And as I said before, like, communication, if there is no communication, everything turns into a show. So you need to have open communication with your team. You need to, be able to express yourself in a way that people can understand what you're saying. That goes from internal team to prospect to clients to branding to the whole thing. Like, if you are not good at communicating your vision, you cannot expect others to see what you see. If you have a vision that you cannot explain to others, how do you think that you're going to get them on board? If you're not good at expressing and communicating, that's one of the first things that you have to work on, because it becomes a show. When we talk about entrepreneurship and what it means to be an entrepreneur, we need to look at the person. And I know that that's one of the things that I owed you from the previous episode, my definition of entrepreneurship and the personal introduction. But I cannot talk of one without mentioning the other, because that's who I am. And I don't like to talk about myself much unless it's strictly necessary or I'm trying to make a point. I guess that's what the team is trying to change here after all. I'm the founder of this company, so I should talk a little bit more about myself. But yeah, the thing about me and how I see entrepreneurship is that it's not so much about, oh, I'm an entrepreneur because I did this or that, or it's not about one day I decided to become an entrepreneur, or I woke up and say, hey, I will be an entrepreneur. That's not what it is. Being an entrepreneur and who you are is like the least of your worries, because your business is your worry. And it might be whatever type of business, or if you don't have a business, it's like whatever project that you have in your mind or whatever that you're working on, like, that's you. It's not even about you at all. Like, entrepreneurship, it's about what you can do for others, like helping others, what your company can do to solve others people's problems. So it's like, yes, I mean, you're an entrepreneur because you are kind of innovative and you put it together like a business to sell things for a profit, but that's not it. Because when we look at an entrepreneur, it's just someone who found a problem, found a solution for that problem, and shared the solution with other people. Like, that's it. And it's not so much about, oh, who the entrepreneur is in the sense of the name or who that person is, but it's more about the mindset, the habits, like, the grit, the passion, like all that other stuff that we don't really see. So that for me is what it really means. And it's not about, the entrepreneur is not so much about having a business, because I mean, I think that registering an LLC is the least thing. It's just how you try to work to solve a problem and how you want to help people to solve that problem for them. And at the end of the day, it doesn't mean if it's in a 9 to 5 with a corporate job or if you have your own business. It's solving the problem. It's the person. It's like the go-getter that sees that problem, that sees that solution, that imagines or envisions that solution and goes after that. That has the grit, that has the passion, that has the perseverance to continue going and going for that particular vision or solution. And as far as myself and who I am, I mean, I could tell you my life story, but that's not the point here. What I can tell you is that I was that 6 years old kid that would beg grandma to let me make ice cream at home and sell it to the neighbors. And that didn't work too well. But from there, it never really stopped. It just escalated. Went from ice cream to art
to then parties, to then food, to then makeup, to YouTube channels, to e-commerce, to Airbnb, to from Airbnb he went to transportation, from transportation he went to banking, from banking he went to financing, from financing he went to investing, from investing to banking again, and from banking to software, and to software to teaching. And
it will just never stop because it's who I am. When I was a kid, someone told me, you just gotta find a problem and find a solution for it. And that's what I've been doing since then. Sometimes I have put my abilities to work with a company, and other times I have done it doing my own thing. Like, I think it's like Eminem's song of, I'm gonna rip the shit till my bones collapse. So yeah, for me, entrepreneurship is a constant personal development journey. Because if we are not on top of our stuff, like, our business will fail. And I'm all about maximizing our potential to do good. So yeah, that's what entrepreneurship is for me. I don't know much about entrepreneurs, but entrepreneurship, that's my definition. I'm just glad it has a name other than crazy person with a wild project. And with that being said, thank you so much for joining us in this episode. And we are finally completing our series of setting the record straight in the entrepreneurial life. We hope that you find this information valuable and that you can apply it in your entrepreneurial journey. We promise next episode we will talk about actual business stuff. If you like what you heard or find it helpful, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and do all that stuff that you do when you find your new favorite show. You can connect with us on Instagram at Bussco.com or at survivalinstance_eshow. Again, this was Amy Kafash, and it was an absolute pleasure to be your host today. You rock. See you in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.
This show is brought to you by Bussco, your entrepreneurial hub on the web.